Hi everybody, welcome to Demo, the show where companies come in and they show us their latest products and platforms. Today I'm joined by Taylor Pechacek. He is the head of product of API Collaboration Core at Postman. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Hey, great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Postman for those who might not be familiar with this, and then what you're going to be showing us today.
Awesome, yeah. So Postman is the world's leading API collaboration platform, and it really helps developers and software teams around the world help do the entire API lifecycle. So that means planning and designing APIs of what you want to build, actually testing them, building them, deploying them, and then the ongoing kind of maintenance and management of those. We really cover the end-to-end lifecycle of that. And it's interesting, it's really widely known around the world. We have about 500,000 organizations already using Postman.
Yeah.
35 million developers and 98% of the Fortune 500.
And
so
APIs
it's already out
just
there.
taken off, right?
They have, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so today you're going to show us some Agentic AI capabilities of the platform?
Yes, very excited about this. So we are constantly improving the product, and today we have a really big release around how to build agents on the Postman platform itself.
Yeah, that's a huge topic. So who is this really designed for? I'm imagining software developers, but are there others within a company that could benefit from this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's really aimed at our core market, which is developers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different types of developers, right? There's back-end developers, front-end developers, QA. You may be on the platform engineering side or DevOps teams. So it's really geared for those teams. But being a collaboration platform, APIs have really taken over a lot of how software is developed and how you communicate and stitch those pieces of technology together. So it also kind of includes product management, design, solution engineering on your sales teams. Like, they get a lot of use out of this. And so really, if you think about where we're going, agents allows people who may not be these really technically trained professional developers to also start to build and to have access to that. So it's really out of our core market around developers, but we hope that it kind of exposes other people and encourages other people to build agents to improve their own workflows.
Yeah, so what are some of the problems that you're solving? I would imagine that it's how do I build Agentic AI instead of going out and getting a different platform or system? You're already working with this platform, likely, right? As a developer, you just have so many of
That's
them
right.
that are using Postman. So is that why it's beneficial for them to just kind of use the platform they're already using, or are there other benefits?
Yeah, so I think the main benefit here is going to be that you're going to bring that suite, that solution to be able to discover the right APIs and LLMs to even use in your agents. So we'll talk about that. So the discovery is really important there. Bringing that in to actually test, is it working the right way I expect? And then being able to actually integrate and build those things through the flows experience, which I'll show you. That's all in one single solution. So I think the alternative is to have dozens of different apps that you're floating through. You're managing all these different keys. It might be insecure. You need to be able to kind of put all that in one place to reason about what's already a really complex topic.
Right.
And so we put all that together in one platform. It uses a lot of existing Postman functionality, but we've added a lot of new features to be able to build agents.
Yeah, and I think the IT leadership out there is probably, when you say, adding another platform or adding another layer or another, program, they probably just go, well, why can't we just get this with the things that we already have? And it's likely that they already are using you guys, right?
And that's a big benefit of this, is that you have a centralized platform to pull from all your existing internal APIs, as well as hundreds of thousands of APIs on the public network. So giving the agent access to these tools, which I'll talk about, letting you access resources through APIs, that could be Slack, Notion, UPS. And so your agent can start to act across these workflows, mixing together both the reasoning capabilities of LLMs and the ability of traditional software systems to take action on these different systems. And so we put all that together in one place.
All right, so you've got a lot of cool things that you want to show us, so let's go jump right into the demo.
Awesome, great. So really what I want to kind of start off here is this image around what we're actually trying to do with agents. And so what we're going to show you today is around the agent framework to actually build agents, being able to discover APIs and the models to use and bring back into those agents, and then how to actually kind of evaluate and test those and make sure that they keep running as you expect, right? Because the cost is going to be ongoing there. So let me jump into Postman here. And the first thing I want to orient around is kind of the core frame here. We have a made-up company called Shelfwise. I'm a big reader. I love Goodreads.
Okay.
And so Shelfwise here is a company that helps people, let's say they track books and they want to find recommendations and other things. But what we're going to do is we're going to be able to store all the APIs that this company uses in what's called collections.
Okay.
Right. So this is their workspace. These are collections. And what Postman is really well known for, just to orient people around, is that we can start to play around and send GET request and POST request through just the interface here. And so if I want to check, the history of all the Slack channel the history of the Slack channel, I can kind of do that with the Postman UI.
Okay.
And I can hit any API in the world, right? Especially internally inside my company. Now, what we've done is at the top level, we actually have these different protocols. So anytime you send a request, you kind of have to decide the protocol.
Yeah.
HTTP being a really popular one, but there's others like GraphQL or gRPC, which are really popular with microservices. And now we see the rise of AI, of actually calling LLMs. And so we have a new top order request type here. And I'll go into an example where if you select that and we have this AI request here, we have several options that we give you, right? You can use OpenAI, Google, Anthropic. We'll add more models. There's a lot of development going on in models.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of abstract out from the model itself and rip and replace is going to be an important part of anybody's, I think, stack moving forward and how they think about
it's almost
this.
like anybody doing any kind of LLM is going to have multiple options.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, let's just select OpenAI here, and we can ask it, let's go ahead and evaluate just like we would send a request. And all I've done is I've given it my authorization key. So I've gone to OpenAI, grabbed an API key, and I've put it in here. I'm going to start playing with this.
Okay.
And already I can kind of see it starting to return some results here on what Postman does. So probably did a better job than I did explaining this. We can give it some new system prompts and kind of interact with this. But the key thing that you want to look at is starting to understand, like, how long did this take, right? How many tokens is this using? What's the cost around this? Is this model efficient for my needs? And this is a big part of evaluating both APIs and regular development, as well as starting to embed LLMs in your software.
Right.
So what you can do here is, so this is great. This is kind of the core function of Postman here, but it starts to expand really quickly. And so one example that I want to give you, and let's say that you actually want to evaluate dozens of different models across all of these different providers of these models. And so I'll just use an example here where we have 5 different models that I can use from OpenAI, and I actually want to evaluate and run a test suite against those, right? And so what I'm going to do is I can run this collection runner, which allows me to run a bunch of tests against this. So I'm going to deselect this, and I'm just going to grab just the ChatGPT ones, and I'm going to select a file, which I'm going to pass in. And you can do this manually, or you can put it as part of your CI/CD.
Okay.
So a lot of people are going to automate this.
Okay.
But in this, we're just kind of looking at, hey, try to do this prompt, which just says, what does Postman do? And make sure that it uses less than 2,000 tokens, see the response times. And so we're going to go ahead and run this. And what it's going to do is it's going to actually hit all those APIs, and it's going to run those tests. And so you can really see, hey, where is my model starting to underperform? And maybe it's costing me too much. And this is how you can really maintain that quality. So people do this in a much more continuous way. The last thing that I want to show you here is the visualization. And so if you go to the results of this evaluation, you can actually start to look across the dashboard here across these models. So this is where it gets really interesting in that you're probably deciding, hey, this 3.5 response time was really fast, but let's look at the actual responses. It was also the most basic.
Okay.
Right? And so you're making these trade-offs between models around how sophisticated do you want to get, what's the cost, the efficiency, and this is going to help people really build their applications.
Right.
Cool. So now that we know how to use APIs, test them, evaluate them, let's move into building an agent.
All right.
Cool. So when building an agent, what we're going to do today is we're going to go into the flows part of the product. And what flows is really this graphical designer to be able to build applications that are essentially workflows. And when you think of workflows, you think of traditional kind of if-then statements, code blocks. But now what you can do with Postman is you can embed the reasoning the LLMs and AI provides and make these workflows non-deterministic. So we're actually going to make a model here where I've got our incident management team, okay? And I've got our, let me pull this up. I've got our Notion database here for incident management, okay? And what's going to happen here is we're going to start opening up an incident. So usually you would open up a new Slack channel.
Yep.
We're going to paste some content in there. And when we run this LLM, what it's going to do is it's going to look through that Slack channel. It's going to call the HTTP request, right? And then it's going to start to evaluate, hey, do I need to create a new page? Do I need to update an existing page?
Okay.
And then most importantly, is this severe enough to tell leadership about this?
Okay.
So no one's making this determination. The model, the LLM, is actually making this call, right? And so where this actually happens, the magic, is if I go into one of these modules, this is where you can start to, you can come into these little code blocks and you can say, hey, given the Slack messages, given this incident page property, make a decision if whether or not I should update leadership. And you're actually asking the LLM in natural language to be able to make this determination. And the output of that, whatever it decides, can move its way towards the workflow and decide whether to post a message or not.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know what's really actually going to happen. It really depends on what the input of that message is and fine-tuning that. And a lot of people are going to be able to play with this. So this is a pretty complex scenario here. We're going to pull together 3 different tools. So it's going to run through this, right, in a couple different ways. And so let's go ahead and grab our message. So let's say the incident kind of popped up, and I'm just going to grab, I don't want to type this all out.
Are you grabbing one that is an incident or not an incident? Or it is worthy of notifying management?
Well, you tell me. So the idea is that, okay, boom, it comes from our system. We have a major incident affecting our payment system for the e-commerce storefront. Customers are reporting they can't submit payments on details, and it's affecting 100% of users, and no payments have been going through the system or completed in the last 3 hours. This looks like a major disruption to the business. It's priority number 1 for those in the room.
That sounds like you should be notified.
It sounds like it should, okay? So we're gonna paste this, okay? So now typically this part will kind of be automated, right? So this incident's occurring in Slack, people are coming in there. Now, I've made this a manual process where I'm going and fetching the ID, but you can imagine that the agent would be listening to these things or be running on a frequency time. So let's go ahead and run this. And so right now it's thinking, it's grabbing the messages, it's thinking whether I should make a page or not. And if you see down at the bottom, we've just created a Notion page here. And what we've did is we've notified that, yes, you know what, we should notify engineering, and it's crafted the message that should be there. And so right now what I have it is I just have it being pasted to this app. You could paste that to a leadership channel or other things. But we have a major incident, it kind of updates that, and it links to the Notion database that kind of have at the bottom here with summaries on this.
All right.
And so the agent's going to be able to make these distinctions. It's in progress. It's determined that it's critical. No one kind of made that call. I guess, I don't think we kind of mentioned that in the incident. We said it's a major disruption. So it did the severity kind of in real time for itself. And then so, we kind of have some further chats here where, we are working on it. Looks like the cluster fell over, whatever it may be. Okay, everything has been resolved.
Okay.
Can submit payments.
Okay.
Right, so typically there's going to be some chat between multiple people.
Yeah.
And so if we run this again, right, it's going to, so I'm going to kind of keep your eyes down here at the bottom. So if we run this again, it's going to do this kind of same evaluation, but it's going to be looking at all the messages that are coming in that Slack channel.
Okay.
It assumes that it's part of the same incident, and it's trying to figure out what I should update or not. Okay, so we're going to run this agent.
So it's not. So you're not just running this a one-time thing. It's then monitoring communications after.
Oh, my window just got messed up. Oh, that's weird. My little bar got messed up. Could you say that one more time?
Yeah. So it's monitoring these incidents while they're happening, and it's looking at the communications as well.
Correct.
So
and you may have this
agent.
agent.
Thing.
Yeah, you may have this agent running this exact determination on every message post, right? Or on a certain time limit. So again, it's going to fetch the messages. It's going to run through its logic. And here we haven't changed anything, but the only thing that's changed is the information inside those systems. And so what we've done is this database incident management has been updated to done. And we've made the call now that we don't really need to update leadership because it's not a major incident. And so we're not going to notify them this time.
Okay.
You may want to notify them that it's resolved or things like that. So you can get way more sophisticated here.
Right.
This is a very kind of streamlined use case.
Yeah. In this case, were you using a single API? Like you were just using the Slack APIs?
So we were using the Slack and the Notion API.
Your other systems, right? Like you could do multiple APIs to create this idea of grab something from here, grab something from there. Does that make sense?
That's exactly right. And that's the power of what Flows provides in the agent builder is that you're able to craft together API calls and the LLM and the reasoning capabilities.
All right.
Now, let me show you an example of how great this is because Postman already has all these APIs already on its network.
Okay.
So let's say we wanted to make this Slack request. Traditionally, you probably have to go out to Slack, find the docs, how do I actually do this? But instead, what we want to do is we just want to get the conversation history for Slack. And what it does is it's actually searching the public workspaces here. And so we can get channel messages. right? And so it's actually going to go ahead and create that. And then if we check that out, it's already kind of crafted the response and stuff for us. So that's the ability of the agent builder to kind of search for these APIs that already exist. They're really high quality. They're promoted by tools like Slack and Notion and UPS. So they're really there available for you to pull off the shelf and start building with.
All right. So again, there's probably a ton of other features that you want to show off. Where can people go for more info? And is there a demo of this available, or is this already automatically available for Postman customers?
Yeah, so you can start building today on Postman. We actually use Postman itself. So if you just go to postman.com or you Google Postman AI Agent Builder, you're going to be able to come to the collection that has a lot of examples, that has a lot of flows that you can actually fork, pull into your own workspace, and just get started.
All right.
So.
All right, cool stuff. Taylor, thanks for the demo.
Awesome, thank you.
That's all the time we have for today's episode. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, add any thoughts you have below. Join us every week for new episodes of Demo. I'm Keith Shaw. Thanks for watching.